One good one for new users, if you ever have a graduate engineer or someone coming on board and you're asking them to do some stuff in Epicor, and even for yourself, is this one, Introduction to Epicor TMT. It just talks about, the different screens. I'll just open it up and then we can sort of run through it now, because pretty much I'll start from the beginning. It's good to give you context because often these things are time-saving things. Mm-hmm. I published I'll just run it in this mode because the other one's presentation mode.
Sure.
So we just talk about ERP system. We won't go through that, but effectively you understand what the ERP system does, and you understand that we use it end to end, everything from the quoting sales order stage through to the jobs, through to shipping, through to invoicing. And underlying the whole ERP system is finance. So there's financial transactions, the movement of inventory, the movement of job costs, invoicing, and all of that. Effectively, our balance sheet, the whole performance of the business comes out of Epicor. So it's all in one place, all in a central location, and it just makes it much easier to run a business. So that's effectively the benefits, single source of truth of having an ERP system, especially in manufacturing businesses. Shortcuts, so logging in, you know that you're running E10 environment. There's also a test environment. So I don't know whether you've got access to that, but if you go into your start menu, you scroll down to Epicor software, you should have this E10 test environment. If you don't, then we can ask IT.
Yeah, no, I do have it.
Okay, that's good. So this test environment is good, Reza. If you're just doing some exploring, you're just trying to learn something new or teach yourself something or try and follow a guide, open this up, go in there. You can create any records, you can edit anything, it's all safe. Because if something is stuffed up, we just do a regular copy from the live system to the test system, and you can just play in there, and there's no fear of ruining anything or deleting something by accident. So that's good for you to test and play with and just understand what works and how the system works. So that's always a good one. Testing and learning. Next section there, home screen. So your home screen will probably look a little bit more like this. Mine is a little bit more because I've saved all the shortcuts. I'll teach you how to do a shortcut in just a second. In the settings section, we just go through. So the menu section pretty much displays all the menu. Now, I've got different companies, I've got TMT Malaysia, I've got these other companies that we run. You won't have access to those unless you need to do transactions in a different company. So you just have the TMT one, and you have less folders than I do, but effectively you will probably see production management, job management, and engineering, and you'll see material management with inventory, and you'll see service management with project management. And maintenance management, which is for the maintenance jobs. So these are the sort of the folders that you will see. But effectively, this is the menu structure. Everything is stored in there. You can also search for stuff using this search button up the top, and I'll go through a little bit more about that in a second. There's also this settings. So in here, you can do some personalization. So you can change your password. You can, sometimes we might ask you to clear your cache if there's some sort of problem with a customized screen that we've done. So that's where that lives. You can also adjust some preferences as well, your theming and things like that. Showing the language or the user ID down the bottom, it's good to see that. When you're in the test system, this will say actually test in there, and it'll say up the top that it's test. So just be careful that when you are playing in a test system, when you want to actually go create that job or go and edit that job, make sure you do it in the actual system. because you might find you did it in the test system and you go, oh crap, now I've got to actually do it all again in the live system. So just keep an eye on what system you're actually in. Maybe put them on different monitors, and that way it'll be clear. Theming, you can also adjust your home page, so you can show, say how many tiles. So I can do 4, and then you notice my home page, spreads out a bit more. So these are just general things you can muck around with. And even you can tick this and you can have Google in here, so you can search on Google within Epicor. If you find that useful, Wikipedia, any other places, but that's again entirely up to you. So these are sort of settings you can play with. Help. So the usual F1 or the Epicor help menu. In any given screen, let's just open up one. You can always read the Epicor's standard help file. Now, it obviously doesn't cover TMT process, but it just gives you a general idea. So there's 2 useful things about a help screen. So it's up here in help. You go to application help. So you open up a screen that you're in, you go to application help, and then it should go to the exact area that your screen is. So job entry, I open job entry and it talks about job entry. And you can read about it. You go, what is the purpose of the menu? What are each of the areas, these tabs? And then you can go within the tabs, and then it can talk about each of the fields within the tabs and what each of the fields means. So you can go through, especially if you're trying to understand a new section, and really understand what those fields mean. The other good thing as well is there's this thing called field help. So if you forgot, for example, say, I don't know what, required by means or rec by means, or you go help, field help, it opens up this menu. You can pin it and just sort of adjust the screen a bit, and then click on any field. Now, some of them, so there's sometimes Epicor that hasn't filled in all of these.
Sure.
Some of these should have some definitions. Now you can go to technical details. This is more for us, understanding the technical, where it lives and what database field is. But there's some descriptions. So required by date indicates the date at which this job needs to be completed, is maintainable by the user. It can be defaulted as the earliest due date to the linked sales order. So you can just get general, what each of these fields means as you click on it. So often if you're unsure, you can just find out using the help file, the field help. Cool. Next. So the homepage screen and adding menu items. So let me just quickly show you how to create shortcuts. So let's say I point you, so this is the search panel. Now, enterprise search, I'll just quickly introduce you to that. So enterprise search is a really powerful search function. It's like, if you remember in FrankieCore, there's a search box at the very top of FrankieCore. You can type almost anything in and it will go and point you to assets, part numbers, jobs, batches, whatever. This is similar. So you can type in, for example, manifold, search that using enterprise search, and then it will return all records that the word manifold has appeared in. So Jared Murray uses this quite often for searching for parts and manufacturer part numbers and things like that. So he's quite a guru at it. You can also use wildcard searches and things like that. For example, like this, using the, and I can give you a little cheat sheet on those if you're interested. But anyway, basic keyword search, you throw the keyword in here. And then let's say you want to search for manifold, but you want to search for part numbers. So you click on parts, and these are all the part numbers where the word manifold appears, usually in the description or some other area there. So you can switch to this view, or you can go to a grid view, which shows you even more information. So it shows you material, supplier part number, what its class is, what its type is, subclasses if they're filled in, whether it's tracked serially, inactive or not, and then other metadata like you know, manufacturing comments and things like that. You know, from SolidWorks, the finish, the process, the manufacturing comments, things along those lines. So if you want to go out of that, you just go show all sources, and it goes back, and let's say, well, actually, I want to look at any jobs with the word manifold in it, because maybe you're looking 5-function manifold or something like that. So then these are the jobs where the word manifold has appeared in the job comments or the job description. And then you should be able to find the job that you're looking for there. And you can click the next page, or you can switch this grid view I often like, and you can scroll down. Now, if this grid view is hard and you want to do further searching within it, right mouse click, copy to Excel, and then go and, you know, do a Control F in Excel, or even, you know, anywhere in Epicor where you see a table like this, you can right mouse click, copy to Excel, or copy the labels, or copy a selection. For example, this copy selection including labels means the headers, and you can copy that to Excel or a comma separated file. And, you know, maybe you want to do some graphing in Excel, you want to add some job costs together or something like that, you know, some data manipulation. You know, you can take that and any gridded view in Epicor, you can go and export it. Yep. Cool. So switch to classic view, show sources. So this is quite powerful. You know, it covers sales orders, it covers jobs, quotes, anything that you have security access to, you can see these records for. Yeah. You know, I see a lot because I've got security access to everything, but, you know, you can look at lot numbers, equipment, purchase orders, the whole lot. So this is your general search function, where if somebody comes to you or if you're just wondering, well, I want to find that job of somebody who's working on something and you only sort of have a part description, throw the description in here and find it. So quite powerful. All right. So you can do a menu search. So if someone says, oh, Reza, you should go to job operation completion to go complete your operations. You say, okay, that's great. So you type it in here, the keywords, it will then search for that menu. You can right mouse click, and then you can go and add it to home or add it to your favorites. So I like to add it to home. It creates a little tile on my home page. You can create a new group. So I've got like production, maintenance, all these different groups. So you can create groups as you like to organize things. You can create a new one. You can color it. And then you can also, you know, change its description slightly. You can even give it an image from externally if you want to go as far as that. And you can change its size, you know, 1x1, 2x2, 3x4, whatever. And then once you've done that and saved, it appears on your front page here. So that's quite convenient for the menus that you use often. So I will, as we go through these sessions, I will suggest what menus that will be good. You can write them down and go and add them later.
Sure.
And then they'll be quite useful for you. So that describes this. If you forget how it is, it's in this guide. So Epicor in general has different types of screens. There's entry screens, and this is where you create new records. So you create a new job, you create a new purchase order, you create a new sales order, you create a new maintenance job, right? So these are job entry, requisition entry, purchase order entry, things like that, right? Then there's tracker screens, job tracker, maintenance job tracker, purchase order tracker, where you can review a purchase order, and things like that. So trackers are read-only versions of the entry screen, and often shows more data that's linked to it. So let me give you an example. Purchase order tracker. So trackers have more information. It's read-only, but it has more information. It allows you. So in purchase order tracker, What you can't see in purchase order entry is the receipts. So you can actually see for this purchase order what has been receipted. And so that's one example. And in invoice tracker, you can see what invoices are linked to what invoices are due and when, how many invoices have been raised. You can look at supplier tracker and job tracker. You can look at job costs and things like that. So these are additional information that the entry screen doesn't have, because the entry screen is designed for you to edit data and create new records and create new data. And the tracker screens are designed for you to review that data and track it or monitor it over time. Yeah. Then there's dashboards. Now there's standard dashboards, and there's a lot of dashboards that we create. We can create a dashboard for almost anything, for any purpose. Again, we try and align dashboards, the style of dashboards, and the purpose of the dashboard according to workflows and user requirements. But some examples are the inventory dashboard to review inventory, and the job overview dashboard to review any open jobs, any closed jobs, their planner, their team, and the job costs and the job transactions, more importantly. So that's a really good one. So job overview, you record that one down. That's one for you to save. Job, I'll just show you, so if you type in job overview dashboard, this one's a really powerful one, especially for you as a senior guy. So you can type in here, eng, for example, refresh.
Yeah. No, I use it all the time, actually. I use.
Oh, you do? Okay, well, yeah. That's great.
But I don't know if I utilize all the features, but what I usually do, I type my name over there, get the list, import it to Excel, go to the Excel sheet, and then make the list I want or get the information I want.
Okay, yep, yeah. I mean, if you're doing that often, you can almost just ask me and say, oh, are you able to add this field or add this other? So the way this works, I'll just quickly run through again in case you don't know, is these are all your jobs. These are all your open jobs. These are all your complete jobs. You can click on any given job. It refreshes the data here and then refreshes all the data in these tabs. So you can review the operations, you can review the transactions, see who's booked to it and when they book to it on every single day. The materials which are added, most of your jobs won't have materials. The material transactions, what purchase orders have been raised and their committed costs. Now, one thing to note with purchase orders is that it's a committed cost, but not an actual cost until the purchase order is receipted. So when someone raises a purchase order, yes, that may be considered to some people as already added to their project or their job, but it's still only committed because it could change, the purchase order can be cancelled. It's until that item has received in stores and Adrian has receipted it that the cost actually hit your job in Epicor and converts from a committed cost to an actual cost. So just bear that in mind when you're tracking costs, that outstanding POs not yet receipted haven't yet hit your job. You can review purchase order lines. This is one for more the production engineers when they're raising purchase order suggestions. And you can review any sub jobs. So production engineers would use it more often, but some of your jobs may have a sub job linked to it. So yeah, so that's a really powerful screen. Cool. And then there's entry screens, trackers, dashboards, and then there's reports. Now, reports are, finance use it quite heavily, for example. The electrical guys use the job traveler. So when they've created the job, they'll add the operations, add the materials, and then they'll print the job traveler report. Now, this is a piece of paper that you can print out. It has all the job details. It has the operation details, the tasks, what you're meant to do. And they can then pass it to the technician physically to go and run it, and then the technician can pass it back to the production engineer. So that's quite good to travel with the job as it goes through its various steps. So entries, trackers, dashboards, and reports. And you notice that the menu structure is separated into a lot of the setup you might not see because these are quite for admin people, but you'll see entry, edit, and process. You'll see trackers, and then you'll see dashboards and reports. So reports are with this little printer icon, and then the dashboards generally have this sort of hourglass, magnifying glass. Cool. Next section. So I talked to you about the many certs. I talked about to you about enterprise search. Part numbers. We'll go through about part numbers later, but again, enterprise search is quite powerful. Yeah, and then you filter by parts. The advanced parts search dashboard is also another tool that you can use. And the purchase advisor is quite a good tool, especially for items that we do purchase. You can see, use the purchase advisor screen to see if it's been purchased before, any currently on order, any in inventory, or is there a price list for it? What's standard pricing for that part? Cool. Now, part administrators, you've got Jared Murray upstairs, and you've also got Michael North and Michael Wolf. They're trained up. On the electrical side, you've got Paul Stockwell, Al Quisepi, and Armin, and Sean Coe. The entire production team downstairs also has access. And that, I believe, covers all the part admin. Yep. So again, we only have a restricted number of part administrators because other than for engineering designs, the ability to create parts we want to restrict because it's quite a complex training process. There's a lot to be aware of because parts are quite important. They're effectively integral part of the system. And comparing back to Epicor, where you needed to create a part number for everything you ordered, is how we resulted in many duplicate part numbers and part numbers being created for no reason. So that's really been I guess addressed now that we've moved to Epicor. So part integrity and part data is quite important, and Jared's very good with managing that. Inventory control and equipment. So again, because we actually have now an inventory control system, it's quite important to manage that accordingly. So any inventory that we keep in stock, we are performing regular stock takes. So Greg's team does that with the direction of finance, and it's important for auditing as well. So therefore, any stock that's moved in the workshop from an inventory controlled shelf should be transferred, and anything that's consumed to a job should be issued to a job. So I can show you those things later. They'll be less common for you guys upstairs, but it will be good for you to know. So I will teach you that in the coming weeks. Again, equipment on the other side, similar to inventory, but different. Equipment are like what we call our assets. And these are things that either we earn money from, we hire out, or we need to run our business. Or we do regular maintenance and repairs on. So equipment, again, is important to maintain and track it. There's record keeping, as you know, against our equipment, asset records and things like that. Equipment also uses the same storage locations as inventory. So, when you move equipment, it's important to also update its location or make sure somebody who has the access updates it for you. So, useful tips. So if you are in Epicor, let's pull up an example. So on any grid view, for example, if you're in job entry or if you're in another area in job tracker, you can right mouse click on a part number, a job number, or similar, and you often have these options to open it up in another screen. So you can open up a job number in job tracker, you can open up in job entry, you can open this part up in part entry. if you have, you won't have access to part entry. You can open it in part tracker. You can open it up in the transaction history tracker. You can open it up in purchase advisor. So this actually takes this number and inputs it automatically into this screen, and allows you to query that data and link your way through. So looking at this part number, do I have any on hand? Yes, I do. In the East workshop, there's 8 in this bin, right? You know, there's a supply here. And for example, have I ordered any before? Nope. But again, you know, you can go traveling through. Are there any records here? Yeah. So often in the right mouse click, you can then right mouse click, open it up in a new menu. If it's an ID of some sort, like a part number, a job number, a supplier ID, a purchase order number, things like that. So just know that that's a good way to shortcut your way through the system. This is another cool thing. You know, often people are more comfortable using the enter key rather than the tab key to enter something. So for example, in job entry, if you type in the job number, you're required to press tab to run it.
I usually press refresh, instead of. Yeah.
So you can press tab, which often is not good for right-handed people because tab's all the way on the other side of the keyboard. But if you go to here, tools, options, global options, hotkeys, you can tick this button and it handles enter as the tab key. So then you can use the enter key instead.
Oh, okay, nice.
So that's quite handy. Little shortcut, time-saving shortcut. Publish user guides. Often some screens also have this user guide button. So you notice in maintenance job entry, you don't need to go to Beacon Web. I've put the user guide for closing right here. So you just click this button and it opens up the user guide straight away. So just some useful shortcuts there. And that's it for the introduction.